Yeah, yeah.
Um, Speaking of, they did an album. Like it's not good, and I think it's intentionally not good. But for Boogie Nights, I think there's an actual album that he and that hold on, Chess Rockwell, or was that his character's name? So you got
Chess Rockwell is the character's name, yeah.
right. So Dirk Diggler and I can't think of John C. Reilly's character's name in the movie, but yeah, they did a whole album. I mean, back to what you were saying about Spielberg, when a movie was an experience and it was rolled
Yeah,
out, it rolled out here's this album that we created. Anyway, it's
yeah.
just that too is a
Well,
masterpiece, dude.
Boogie Nights is a masterpiece, and that was one of those too where the more times that you watched it, the you'd appreciate something new every single time.
Oh yeah,
It,
Cosmo, he's Asian.
yeah, yeah. That's one of the most amazing scenes ever in cinema. And they got Sister Christian going on in the background. It's such a great. And that's one of those that you maybe just like you recognize that it's good the first time you watch it, and then the second time you see that scene, you start to take in everything that's going on in that scene, and it's like, oh wow, this is some amazing like
uh,
what a
Cor-
fun movie.
Choreography, like to put all that together, to think it out. Alfred Molina, oh what a performance, and a cameo at that. Like because I think that part is okay. And one more thing, because like PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson, early on, he would do that. Like he'd chapter his movies out. He said, and one more thing, and I don't know if it was intended to be an addendum or not, but imagine the movie without that scene. Imagine Boogie Nights without "I'm gonna get you, you puppies," and him firing down in the middle of, I don't know, Pasadena somewhere.
Yeah. So apparently, Burt Reynolds hated the director.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently, he thought he was too cocky,
That's
and
astonishing.
because Paul Thomas, he would he'd be all beside himself and happy about a camera that he did,
Sure.
and be like, no one's done this before, and Burt Reynolds is thinking, like, yeah, that's totally been done,
Right.
cocky young kid or whatever.
Sure,
So
sure.
apparently they didn't vibe at all, and Burt Reynolds didn't
Unfortunate.
show up to any of the post production movies or parties or events or anything. He was not into it.
Well, that was
Uh,
a role of a lifetime for that guy, to me.
yeah, I mean, well,
He
Burt
was
Reynolds
perfect.
he was a sex symbol, really. So
Sure.
he didn't have a lot of great movies. It was more, he was just, Burt Reynolds was for the ladies back in the
For
70s.
sure. That
Bunch of movies
mustache,
where he's
dude.
like slapping women and stuff.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, Boogie Nights might be his best actual acting movie.
I think.
Yeah, right?
And he was cut for Jack Horner, man. Like that guy was, I don't know, like
It's
classy but sleazy, but rich, but still a gutter guy, got mind in the gutter. But at the same time, he's looking from the gutter at the stars. It was such a good character.
perfect casting. And also
Yeah,
everyone in that movie, there's the Cheadle. I'm a huge fan of Don Cheadle.
yeah. Oh, and
Uh,
his character arc, trying to find a look.
yeah.
Cowboy. I mean, like the humor in it, like you're saying, Curtis. I don't mean to be redundant, but it keeps unfolding into this like poem that's, man, it's
It
huge.
Yeah, and when he's showing off the stereos and he changes it to the country and starts
Sure.
vibing real hard with it. Hear that bass? Hear that bass?
Yeah, that was a good time, man.
uh,
Yeah, and on and on.
yeah, that's one of the greatest movies ever. You dropped a bunch of good stuff on me as far as movies you've been watching, directors that you like.
Yeah,
Um, I really don't know where to start. I think we'll maybe Paul Thomas Anderson's a good place to start.
for
He's not
sure.
really in that echelon because he hasn't consistently continued to make epic films. I don't think we can
Right.
put him in that masters collection yet. The Joaquin Phoenix movie he did was interesting, but long, and it definitely wasn't as powerful as Boogie Nights.
It didn't
Uh,
deliver. It does get better the more you watch it, but it does not deliver like that, dude. And even the subsequent movie, Magnolia, was fucking fantastic. I mean, Tom Cruise was, I think he was nominated for that, man. And he deserved it. Like, he was great.
yeah, Magnolia was really good. And that was another one of those interesting where it has a certain vibe to it that it really just felt different as soon as you started watching it, and you're like,
Mhm.
oh, this is this kind of cool, different thing, and you're getting this feeling from the movie that you don't normally get from a regular movie. It starts to feel like art right away, I
Right
guess is the
away.
best way to describe
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, TC's been in a lot of great movies too. He
yeah.
the whole Scientology thing's a little bit sus, but he does pick the right roles when everything's said and done.
He sure does. I've been reading headlines about how tyrannical he is. Like obviously he's powerful and he pulls a lot of weight with who is it? Is it Paramount that made? I think it makes all of his movies. I think it's the Mission movies and
Maybe. I wonder if there's Scientology ties in Paramount.
potentially,
Nah,
man.
I don't think Paramount's been. I don't know. Paramount's been putting out really good stuff lately, though. They're
I
one of
agree.
my favorite content makers right now.
Yeah, not hating at all. I mean,
Yeah.
I I, I don't think Scientology has too much to do with it. I'm sure it's more just money. And dude, he pulls a crowd. Like the people, the numbers that Top Gun has pulled down is pretty great.
Yep.
For a 50-plus-year-old dude. And did you see it? Did you see Top Gun?
I haven't yet. One of my friends saw it and he's like, it's amazing. He said the only thing that kind of bugged him, he was like, it seems like it's an alternate timeline. Like if the 80s just kept continuing onward, that was the future that they're existing in. It's like almost a alternate reality timeline.
Well, it's funny you put it that way because it feels like Cold War era type stuff, which is when the first one was made. And
Right.
Rocky 5 comes out. He's slugging it out with Dolph Lundgren, and we're all like, "Fuck the commies!" Like
Yeah.
it does feel like that. Because I'm so sorry. I may have spoiled it for some people and might have just spoiled it for you. But yeah, it's got a Cold War feel to it. It does feel
Well,
like the 80s again.
I don't think that spoils anything. I think that's what we expected, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, that propaganda has really never stopped, right? Since the 80s. I guess there was
Right.
kind of a lull in the early 2000s where we didn't really have Russia as the bad guys as much. Uh, but they're back.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, so let's get into. I mean, a couple of directors that you dropped was James Cameron and Kubrick.
For
I guess
sure.
stand out in that list the most. And I think if we're going to do a top three directors, you know, Spielberg, Kubrick, and Cameron, not in that particular order, right?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
No. And even further, like I think those guys are somewhat separate. And it's interesting to talk about it this way because I don't want to, like, I respect every one of those guys so much because they've done a lot. But I also feel like that one was an art. It's just difficult to say. I feel like Kubrick made masterpieces every time he touched, like, everything he touched was gold.
Everything.
Contrarily, Spielberg has done some trash, you guys. I mean, I don't mean to be this way. What's the last great Spielberg that you? I mean, mine was Munich. If that was the last Spielberg, I was like, fuck yeah, that was a great experience. It was Munich.
I mean, Ready Player One was a fun movie.
Was it?
I
I
I
didn't see
didn't.
it. I missed it.
Okay, if you didn't see it, it was like a run of the mill VFX
Yeah.
extravaganza, and it was a fun movie to watch. Like you had a good
Oh,
time watching it, and then by
cool.
the end, you're like, oh, that was good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
surprisingly good.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay. So yeah,
It-
it wasn't bad, but I mean, was it? Was it Jurassic Park? Was it fucking Minority Report? Dude, I stumbled into just a few
Minority
scenes.
Report.
It was on a screen at a bar that I was in. We were grabbing a drink or whatever, and, and I couldn't look away. It's just, it's so well composed. So yeah, I mean, like it's difficult to say. Well, he's not an artist, and he doesn't deliver all the time because Spielberg has done so much. And
Minority Report's a masterpiece.
truly,
Yeah, that's like
truly,
the one of the definitive sci-fi movies ever.
ever. I mean,
And
and it's what gives us all this, dude. To some extent, I don't know how much credit we should give that movie and Spielberg for the touch screens that we're using now, but a
well,
little
he
bit.
actually brought in concept on that movie a team of futurists. So he
Oh,
found the foremost futurists in the world and had them come together in a think tank. So that's
amazing.
why so much of the stuff in the movie we're seeing now, but like face scanners, scanning QR codes and stuff like that.
Sure.
When
Facial recognition, absolutely.
What were we talking about? Spielberg. Spielberg does have a few misses, but like you were just saying, is it Jurassic Park? Is it
Right.
E.T.?
Yeah,
Is
I
it
feel
these
like I feel
mega?
like every Kubrick though is that way. Like every one of them, they're unique. They are loud but subdued, and I don't know, man. I think they're masterworks, every single one, and I can't say the same thing of a Spielberg thing. And I'm again not the hate because, man, I mean, what is cinema today without Steven Spielberg?